Hi guys, welcome to another episode of VEGBATE where I take common excuses commonly made against veganism and I respond to them. So today's excuse is milk doesn't kill animals though. So I'm going to start by saying I am going to actually link another video up in the cards by Erin Jonas. It's called Dairy is Scary. She does a great job of explaining the dairy industry in just 5 minutes. And what she's saying are common farming practices. They're not things that just happen, here and there. This is something that happens every single day. But if you want more specific information about what happens in your own country, you can look up on your government's websites their common standard farming practices, their OFCAs, I believe they're called, and it will tell you the details of what happens. Anyway, let's talk about the milk industry, dairy industry. So, to begin the whole production of milk, animals are artificially inseminated. Artificial insemination doesn't always have to happen. There's also something called assisted insemination, or assisted mating, which is when they are helping the cows get it on. Dirty Jobs did a video on this, I think, either talking about artificial insemination or collecting semen from the bulls. They have, I think, a few episodes on dairy industry-like things. So I'm gonna link one of them that happens to be on YouTube up in the cards, and you can go watch that to learn a little more about how breeding happens. Breeding must happen in order to produce milk, because like humans, all mammals have to have had a child in order to produce milk. And in the dairy industry, baby cows are taken away from their mothers pretty quickly, because if they are left too long, they're gonna drink a lot of the milk, which is gonna cut into profit. Normally they're kept with their mother for, I believe, 6 to 12 hours just so they can get colostrum, which is the first milk, and this is going to help that baby grow. But if the farmer cannot afford to raise baby calves, they will actually be killed right away, so they don't need any time with their mother. They take them away as soon as possible and they kill them because there's no use for them. My neighbor happens to be a dairy farmer, so I've learned a little bit about their practices from hands-on experience and seeing. But on top of that, I've of course read the farming practices by the Canadian government. On his particular farm, I'll just give you an example. He takes them away after they get their colostrum, because he knows that there is a lot of coyotes on his farm, and if he were to keep the babies with the mother, they wouldn't have a lot of protection. Sure, the mom might be able to protect the calf a little bit, but there's still the chance that the coyote is going to get the calf and kill it, and that will cut in the profits, so they don't want that to happen. So they take the baby and they put it in a pen with all the other baby calves. So that's just another reason why the baby might be taken away from the mother after just a few hours of life on Earth. I'm gonna link another video actually up in the cards again, and this is a video, surprisingly, of the guy that has teamed up with Jamie Oliver to sell milk that they claim is free range and humane to Asda. Yet this guy, the very guy that was advertising this milk, is seen in this video witnessing the death of 3 Jersey cows because they don't produce milk because they're male. Anyway, the video explains it a little more, and you should go watch it. Instead of the baby calf drinking from its mom like nature intended, humans come in and we have a new mom and we drink her milk. A mother typically makes the perfect amount of breast milk for her child to help them grow, to feed them. But when humans come in and we constantly milk them, we're making them make a little more milk because they're able to. They can only make so much though. And in certain countries like the US, they give growth hormones to the cows to make them produce even more milk. But in Canada, I believe we do not use growth hormones. So there's that, but we're still exploiting them by taking something that isn't ours to make the baby grow from a little tiny calf into like a 1-ton animal. So you can just imagine what that is doing to humans. Because, interesting thing for you, Neil Bernard talks about this in his talks he has done and his new book, but he shows a graph. Perfect little graph. It's a great graph, and it shows the correlation between cheese consumption or dairy consumption with obesity. A lot of people think that sugar and obesity go hand in hand, but when you actually look at the correlation between sugar and obesity, sugar is going down, 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 down. Less people are consuming sugar nowadays, and people's weight is still going up, 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 up. And if you look at fatty foods, cheese, milk, dairy, the correlation with that and obesity, up, 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 up. So, interesting little tidbit of information for you there. So, milk is actually unneeded in any mammal after they begin consuming solid foods because they can get all their nutrition from the solid foods. They no longer need nutrition from their mama. Cows' horns are also typically cauterized without
anesthetic
painkillers. They're also castrated without anesthetic. They are also branded without anesthetic, so they can use hot metal to do this and they burn it into their skin, or they can do freeze branding, which is becoming more popular. Some places also brand on the animal's face, but in Canada this is illegal. A lot of people think we are helping a cow by milking her. They say she's in a lot of pain if you don't. So that mother cow wouldn't be in all that pain if we didn't initially artificially impregnate her, get her pregnant, make her have her calf, take the calf away so the calf can't suckle from her udders, which is going to cause her a lot of pain because normally when a mother is having pain in her boobs or in her udders, she is going to go to her child and feed her child, and that child is constantly going to be hungry pretty much, so that child is constantly going to come back to the mother for the milk. But when you remove the child and the mother bond, that can't happen, so then humans have to milk the cow constantly to make sure that she doesn't end up in pain. And luckily there is alternatives to milk now, plant-based milks, which the dairy industry isn't too happy about, and they are working on changing the labels and removing them from stores. There is plenty of stories on things that are happening now with plant-based companies versus, you know, the real thing. And the dairy industry is trying to tell the FDA that plant-based milks can't be called milk because it's not actually the breast milk of an animal, so we can't call it milk. Dairy industry believes that it is misleading consumers, so when they're going to buy their breast milk off the shelves, they're going to see milk and they're going to assume that it is breast milk. They're going to buy it, come home and go, this isn't milk, what the heck? Therefore increasing the profits of the plant-based milks and decreasing the profit of the dairy industry. Now that is what the dairy industry believes. In reality, more and more people are transitioning to plant-based milks because more and more people are realizing they are lactose intolerant. And a lot of people are realizing the cruelty behind the dairy industry and they're choosing to buy alternatives. It's not people buying it because they think it's milk. And you know, the funny thing about this is it really doesn't matter all too much. I mean, sure, dairy industry, get the FDA to require that plant milks not be called milks. Label it as something else. They're still gonna have the same problem of people are buying the plant-based alternative compared to the real thing, and they're gonna go and they're gonna find another reason to make a fuss over it, to make it look like there's something wrong with the milks, so then they have to buy the real milks. Their master plan really isn't such a master plan, and they're gonna realize later down the road if it becomes illegal to label plant-based milks as milk, that doesn't matter. And there is, like I said, there is plenty of alternatives to real milk, and not all of them are made from nuts. So I'm just going to label off a bunch of the different types so you can try these out. So there is almond milk, rice milk, soy milk, coconut milk, oat milk, hazelnut milk, hemp milk, cashew milk, sunflower seed milk. Basically any nuts, any seeds, any beans can be turned into milk. So if you were allergic to nuts, there is alternatives. If you don't want to consume soy, there is alternatives. That's pretty much all I have to say. There's a few other things practiced in the dairy industry, but they don't happen all over the world, like tail docking. So I'm not going to talk about that, but like I said, look into your government's website and it will have more information on what specifically happens in your country. But the major things are still true, so be sure to check out Aaron Jonas' video I linked at the beginning of the video. It will be in the cards, and I will see you guys for another VEGBATE episode. Goodbye.